drive the 13 Mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Jr., driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, this is Dylan Smith. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Amber Colvin. I'd like to thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Welcome to Let's Talk Racing this evening. How's everybody doing? Got Al Pearce and myself, Roger Brehm, ready to crank it up. So,
pretty weak lineup, just me and you.
But we got a few guys out there that we're going to be talking to. We've got Eric McClure. We're going to have him at the end. Me and him have had some nice, fun texts going back and forth. I'll have to tell you about that later. Brandon Atkinson will be before him. Minnie Tyrell. He is a 7-year-old race car driver, and he does some stuff for the cancer research and has been raising money for that. But we'll be talking to them in a little bit. We'll do some racing news. Well, let's get back to your favorite subject, Danica Patrick.
Oh, please. Please. No, I mean, she didn't do anything Sunday that 1,000 drivers have also done, which is blow a right front and wreck. Wasn't her fault. Yeah. Everybody made a big deal about it. I guess I don't understand why Fox Sports and ESPN and all these people have got to do separate deals just every time she wrecks. The magazine I write for, Auto Week, had a guy in Phoenix, and he wrote a whole big story in the middle of the race about Danica's wreck. And I'm thinking, well, does that mean that when I go to Bristol, not this weekend, but next weekend, do I have to do a Danica story if she wrecks on lap 5? And when I go to Martinsville in April, do I have to do a Danica story if she wrecks, early in the race? So,
do you think that's something they're going to start requiring you to do?
Well, they're going to have to break my arm to make me do it, but they probably will. I just, I understand. We've been through this before. I understand she's a big deal. But she's not a big deal in that she's not doing anything that anybody else hadn't already done. There have been women drivers before. Granted, they haven't done as well as she did, but they haven't had the equipment she's had either. But still, she's doing a good job on the racetrack. But every little thing she does, I don't think needs to be made into the world's biggest event. Now, if the networks think they need her, fine. If ESPN thinks it needs her, or MRN, fine. I don't know that racing needs her to be documented with everything she does. So that was almost a bigger story than Carl Edwards winning at Phoenix. I mean, Carl breaks a 70-race losing streak, and it's great, and he does his backflip, and everybody's happy. But everybody was talking about Danica, about she blew a tire and wrecked, and David Reagan hit her.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
Up to the point of blowing the right front tire. What do you think?
She was just riding her. She was top 20 maybe, top 25 I guess. Was on the lead lap. It had some cautions. It saved her. She didn't do any better, any worse than any other back markers. she was no better or worse than David Gilliland or David Reagan or J.J. Yaley or all the other guys back there. But TV kept talking about her. Darrell thought she was doing a terrific job, and I, that's Darrell. I think Darrell wants to date her or something. I don't know, but anyway. So there you go. That's my Darrell. That's my Danica rant for the night.
Well, now, how about the rest of the race? What'd you think of the race?
Oh, just like Daytona. It was not the. I wrote something today that said the car tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, the Gen 6 car. How quickly we forget. The Gen 6 car has not done in either race what NASCAR told us it would do, which was provide better racing, side-by-side, lead changes, exciting finishes, all this good stuff. There was an exciting finish at Daytona because there was a restart, a late race wreck and a restart with 5 or 6 to go.
Yeah.
And so they were in 5 or 6 laps, well, 4 or 5 laps actually, they stayed bunched up because that's the nature of restarts. At Las Vegas, there was a restart with 3 to go, maybe 4. The green, white, checkered finish. It had a close finish. It would not have been that close if not for the late caution. So you've had 2 good finishes in 2 bad races.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether NASCAR is going to be able to live with that, or whether they want to try to spin it a little bit more. I heard Carl Edwards today say that the NASCAR people have told them that after Las Vegas this weekend, they will have been on a super speedway with plates. They would have been on a 1 mile, relatively flat 1 mile track. And they'll be on a 1.5 mile high bank track this weekend at Vegas. And Carl says that NASCAR has assured everybody that after this weekend, we're going to look at the car again and see what it needs and do something if we think it needs to be done. And it seems to be fairly obvious something needs to be done. Right, Tony?
Shakes his head, yeah?
I got to get something out of my pocket.
Ah. Well, I mean, you did have, everybody was worried about running out of gas at the end.
Go ahead, keep talking.
You had Denny doing the last minute dive there in that last turn, trying to get under everybody and screw the pooch on a few people.
Yeah, but then Denny gets out of the car and says these things are so hard to pass.
Yeah.
Well, he started last. He started last and finished third. He must have passed somebody. I don't know if he passed them on pit road, whether he passed them on restarts. I don't know when he passed them, but he passed a lot of people to get to third from last. And yet Denny and Brad Keselowski said, this is the best car I've ever driven by itself. It's the worst car I've ever driven in traffic. Well, I hate to tell him, but racing is not by yourself.
Yeah.
Qualifying is by yourself. But when you start racing on Sunday at Las Vegas, Brad, there's going to be 42 other guys out there with you. So really, you better kind of figure out a way to learn how to pass with that car, because you're not going to be out there by yourself. So, and I guess my rant is based on this. NASCAR spent most of last year and all of the off season telling us how great this car was going to be. And the drivers were drilled. They were told, and I assure you they were told by their team owner and their crew chief and by NASCAR itself, you will not say anything bad about this car. You can say things like it's a work in progress, which it clearly is.
Right.
You can say things that, like, we're hoping it'll get better, which they certainly do. You can say things like it's a little better than it was last week, which may or may not be true. But they have been told, I can assure you, you will not dog this car like y'all dogged the car tomorrow when it debuted at Bristol in 2007. So, we don't really know the truth of what the drivers think because they're not being allowed to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But they're all saying it's really not what we expected yet, but it'll be there after a while. So There you go.
Well,
But if NASCAR had been a little bit more measured in its off-season tone, if they had not said it will do this, this, and this, maybe we wouldn't be expecting so much.
right.
But they made us think it was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Now, the thing is, maybe if they said we're going to try to get it to do this instead of saying it will do this, then at least give them some wiggle room.
Yeah, and they're gonna tweak it. They're gonna do something after Vegas. They'll do something with it.
Well, you already heard what they were going to do already with the roof mount cams, right?
Well, they've taken them off already on
Yeah.
big tracks. Yeah, I think they can go back on a lot of tracks, but it's sad that they spent all that money and time and brag so much about how this car is going to be this and that, and it's clearly not this or that.
Let's talk racing.
Hello?
Just let's talk racing. Hello? Oh, it's Minnie. Okay. I thought you were asking for Smitty. Hang on a second for me, okay? Put you back on the speaker here. Sure. Okay. Okay, we got both of y'all on.
It's Tina Tyrrell. How are you?
Hey, Tina. Okay, now, I noticed a little bit, Minnie is, 7 years old, was it, or 6 years old?
He is 8 years old.
Oh, 8 years old. Where did I read that at? Oh,
He
goodness.
started his charity or fundraising when he was 6.
Oh, okay, that must have been what it was. I was doing some research and saw something about 6-year-old doing a fight cancer research type stuff.
Yeah, that's when he started. He was racing at 6. He was racing go-karts since he's 4.
Okay. Now you go sit to the side. We'll talk to Minnie now.
I'm just going to listen and be impressed.
Okay. Minnie,
Yes, sir.
okay, you know what a race resume is?
No, I do not.
All right, well, let's put it this way. Tell me how you got into racing.
Well, I got into racing by going to a racetrack down at Old Dominion Speedway. I heard that they were driving go-karts down there, and I went down there with my dad. And I said, hey, Dad, let's check this out. And we went down there, we looked at it, we was like, it's really cool. So my crew chief, Billy Tweeden, got me a go-kart, and we went out there, and I liked it, and we started now.
All right. Now, what else have you been doing since you started doing the go-karts?
Well, I've been racing arena cars, and bandoliers at Southern National, arena cars in the Richmond Coliseum.
How'd you like those?
The arena cars, they are very fun. They're when you get in those, they're twitchy on the corners, and you have to really turn them to get them around the track. And the track's about straight away. It would probably be 20, 25 feet.
Yeah, I've been to a few of those. Have you been upside down yet in one of those things?
No, I haven't, but yeah, I've been in wrecks. Once someone rolled right in front of me, and I've had to turn right down, and it was hard to see. I mean, in my spotter we have radios and car radios,
Right.
and they tell you everywhere to go because you can't really see. And he told me down or out, and he got me out of that.
Well, good deal. Now, who's your spotter?
It's Talbert. His first name is Talbert.
Okay. Well, what are you going to try to do after you get older? What do you want to be when you grow up? How about that?
I'm a NASCAR driver.
Oh, you already been talking to people and get yourself lined up yet?
Yep. I've met Jeff Gordon and met with him, and it's been cool.
Oh, now I noticed that you're doing some money raising. Now, give us a little bit more information about that.
Well, it's Minnie's mission. I've started a like a website. I have a Facebook page and a .com page. It's not a foundation. I just help out. It's a charity. And we come out, and by racing, what I do is I go out and I race my go-kart cars and raise money for children with cancer. And the money that we've raised right now is $102,000.
Ooh, that's pretty good. And you've been doing that for, what, 2 years?
Yes, 32 years.
Cool. Now, let's see here. Talking about other people that you've talked to, what are you going to move up to once you get done with the arena cars?
I'm going to move up to legend cars. Once I'm 12 years old, I'll probably move up to legend cars and get into those cars.
Have you tried driving in one yet?
No, I haven't, but my dad's trying to get that. Well, we're trying to, I want to try one, but I haven't tried driving one of those yet.
Now, apparently you met Jeff Gordon, down in Martinsville?
Yes, I would also like to say something. Also, what I was looking to do when I'm 12 is drive a micro sprint, which is they're like go-karts, but they're cars.
Uh-huh.
I think they're stick shifts, and they go around the track at about 130 miles per hour, and it's really cool because I really want to drive one of those.
Now, are they like quarter-size cars, or?
They're small cars. They're probably smaller than, they're like a legend car. Like, they got a wing at the top, and it's like they've got a bumper that's kind of square, and it's cool, and it's just in the back bumpers, and all you can hear when they go around the turns is it's sliding and sideways, and they come off, and it's horsepower, and all of a sudden they nail the gas and shift into like around third gear and nail it, and it's gone. It's cool.
Now, these are run on asphalt or dirt?
These run on dirt because they go in the turns, they slide real much. I mean, you get into someone, like, because I drive dirt go-karts, if you get into someone, like, under them, I mean, you can still drive the outside lane, but if you touch them, get under them, they'll spin.
Huh. That might be a little scary having something spinning out right in front of you.
Minnie, is it safe to say that Jeff Gordon's your favorite driver?
Yeah, he is.
Well, he started about the same age you started, and now he's a 4-time champion. If you could match his career, I assume you would do that in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
No, I would do it in less than a heartbeat. I would be there and I would go, and I'm trying to, I'm following in his steps, and I'm looking up to him, and I'm looking up to other NASCAR drivers on how they act and, how they do it. And I'm looking up to them to teach me when I get older how I'm supposed to do that, and I'm looking up to them.
Well, let me give you a piece of advice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're doing an interview, if you're on television or you're talking to a reporter or there's a camera close by, take off your sunglasses. Put them on the top of your driving hat. Put them on top of your head. Do not look into a camera with sunglasses on. Do not talk to a reporter wearing sunglasses. And do not pose for a picture wearing sunglasses. That is very professionally rude. A lot of people do it. They don't think much of it. But I can tell you, as a longtime reporter, you'll make a great impression on everybody you meet if you take off your sunglasses and look them straight in the eye and talk to them just like man to man. And that's my advice, and I'll bet you're going to take it.
Yes, sir, and I've pretty much never done news crew interviews with sunglasses on. I've never done that. And, it's not glad you told me that. Now I just learned something, man. That's great.
Yep, you should do that. Carl Edwards is one of the best at that. Carl may have sunglasses on when the cameraman walks up to him, like they did Sunday in Phoenix, but he will immediately take his sunglasses off and look right in the camera and talk to the camera just like he was talking. He may be talking to 10 million people, but if you're home on TV, you think he's talking directly to you. So you remind your mom and your dad to remind you of that as you grow older and become a star. Don't wear sunglasses when you're doing interviews.
Yes, sir. I will take that advice.
Yep.
That's great. So now I learned that. So.
There you go. You sound like you, if I may be so bold as to say, you sound like you're much smarter than most 8-year-olds.
Well, it's just, thank you so much. And, it's school is just, I love, when I, came out of the bell, but just when I first got my parents and everything, that was the happiest day of my life.
But you were talking earlier about driving a wing car, and you were talking about what line to take and what groove to take and when to nail it. You sound like you know a lot about throttle response. You sound like you know a lot about how to get a car back under control. Do you think you're a natural? Do you think you were born with this gift of driving, or is it something that you've had to work at and sort of grow into, or were you good right off the bat?
Well, I think I was born pretty much to drive because, my dad had, when he was born, every time back in the day, he would just, he would work on his race cars with my grandpa in the garage, and he made his money by doing that in his business, and he's always grown up with driving. He's always been there and drives, and I took that, and I was like, Dad, I really wanted to get into something, and I will drive literally anything with wheels. I could drive anything just with rubber. I will drive anything with wheels, and I think I was born to do that, and I probably was.
You sound like Tony Stewart. He'll drive anything, anytime. You sound like Kyle Larson, who will drive anything, anytime. You've got a pretty good head, it sounds like, and in 10 years or so, you may be driving a Camping World truck or a Nationwide car, and heck, we may see you at Daytona in 10 or 12 years or so.
Yep, and I'm just running. Yeah, it's great.
Now, how are you handling all the publicity that you're getting now, since you've been on CNN and NBC Nightly News, and of course meeting up with Jeff Gordon at Martinsville?
Hang on, I don't quite understand that question. May you ask it again?
Well, you're sort of famous already. You've been on television, you've been on radio, you're on this program tonight. Is it difficult to stay sort of grounded, kind of
an 8-year-old?
Yeah, you're an 8-year-old star. Is it fun being a star, or do you think you're just a regular kid most of the time?
Well, I'm not saying I'm a star. I'm gonna be very cool about it. I'm not gonna go out there and be all I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna be at Daytona International Speedway, where I drove my go-karts. Who built my go-kart chassis, Harold, he came to church when we had there, and he spoke about pride. I'm going to be pride, and I'm going to have that, and I'm not going to be all, I'm not going to say anything, I'm the greatest, everybody's not. I'm going to be there, I'm going to be humble, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to show up, and I'm here to have fun. And that's why.
That's pretty cool. That's good.
Thank you very much.
That's good. Now, you may not know this, but you have a very famous last name. I don't know that you know this, or your parents may not know this, but back in the 50s and the 60s, the 1970s and 80s over in Europe, there was a man named Ken Tyrrell, and he was a famous Formula One car owner and builder and engineer, and a lot of famous drivers drove cars named after Ken Tyrrell. I doubt it's the same family, but as you move up the line, as you become more famous yourself, you may hear somebody tell you, "Hey kid, you've got a famous last name." And what you might do is go to your internet one night and Google Ken, K-E-N, Tyrrell, the last name is yours, and find out about this famous man in Europe who built Formula One cars and made quite a name for himself. So at least you'll know if somebody asks you, "Are you related to Ken Tyrrell?" At least you'll know to tell them, "No, but I understand he was a famous Formula One Grand Prix guy," and you might can learn something about him.
Yeah, that's great, and that's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yep, he was very famous, still is over in Europe. I doubt he ever drove a stock car at Manassas, but still, he's pretty famous.
Never know, he might be related.
Well, back a ways.
You never know. It's hard to figure that out.
Hey, Mom, you still out there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, this kid's pretty good. Let me tell you, he's pretty good. I've been covering motorsports for magazines and newspapers
Longer than you care to remember.
44 years.
I was trying not to put that out there.
I don't mind. 45 years, actually. 45 years. He's pretty sharp. And if you keep him grounded and make him do his homework, I think you'll be okay.
There are severe consequences. If he does not do well in school, then he does not rate. So he's got to keep his priorities straight.
When my daughter was a little bit older than he is, my wife and I bought her an Arabian show horse, and it was the best thing we ever did. I mean, she's a graduate student at Radford University right now, but she's still involved in equestrian very, very deeply. And the same rule applied. You do your homework, you keep your grades, you can go riding this weekend or you can go to the barn. But it's a great incentive to hold that race car out in front of him. Is if you do this, you get the race car. If you don't, there are consequences. That's a terrific policy.
You have to find their currency, and ever since he was an infant, his currency has always been cars, racing, matchbox cars, you name it. And he lives and breathes, and it's just natural to him. So he's a great student, AB student. He'd much rather be at the racetrack than at school, and we're working on that. But he's a great kid.
Yeah. Does Manassas still run Saturday night late model shows?
Old Dominion Speedway in Manassas ended this year, and Steve Britt is looking to build a huge facility out in Pennsylvania, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
We'll have an oval track, we're trying to talk him into putting a go-kart track in, dragsters, and also a road course to start getting some of the road course series in there. So you should look them up. It's in the development phases and going before the city for some hearings, but it looks very exciting. The initial drawings are absolutely beautiful.
Well, I can assure you I have been around long enough to have been at least covered and written about many, many, many speedway projects, and quite frankly, very few of them, down in our area, particularly in Tidewater, very few have ever gotten built, but it's a noble cause, and I hope it goes well.
Well, we sure hope so, because it's in our backyard, and as a good friend told me, they said we went to the races and a family broke out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's true. It's so true. It's truly a family affair, and I think it's something that a lot of places need these days.
Well, it sounds like he's sounds like your son is pretty grounded and pretty. He sounds like he knows a lot more than most 8-year-olds know about racing. I hope he does well. I really do. I hope I live long enough to say one time, 10 years ago, I talked to this kid on radio, so.
Yeah, ever since, even when he was 4, you would talk to him and say, okay, you did this on the track, this is what happened, you understand why. And he just would always get it. He always got it on a very mature level. It just always made sense to him. Like, you can't dive down in this corner because it's a no-pass zone, and see what happened and the consequences. And he would go out, and the next race, he would never make that mistake again. So he's very wise out there, wise beyond his years on the track. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's amazing some Cup drivers haven't learned that yet. They could maybe take some lessons from your son.
I'm sure he'd try to teach him.
Well, Kyle Busch, for example, could. Well, anyway.
Hey, Minnie, why don't you go ahead and thank your sponsors, and we'll go ahead and let y'all get back to your family stuff.
Sure, I'd like to thank A1 Flood Tech, the Adams family, PPC Lubricants, Castrol, and, that's who I have to thank, McGeorge Toyota Scion, and that's Piper Motorsports, and the sign shop for doing my wrappings on my car bodies, and Chanel Security. That's who I like to thank.
Cool.
Spoken like a true professional.
There you go. Go ahead and let you go. And, of course, people can get a hold of you on the internet at Minnie's Mission or catch you on Facebook.
Yes, sir. Facebook, and you can go to my .com page. And you can click on donate. You can donate money to Minnie's Mission. On my .com page, you can donate. You can donate. Anything counts. Just a cent, a nickel, a dime, a quarter. Anything helps. Anything. Anything could go to anyone who needs help, and that would help them a lot.
Cool deal. We'll make sure we pass that around for everybody.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. Well, y'all both have a good night, and we'll talk to you again another time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Go do your homework.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Slick little kid there.
Kid's smarter than you are.
Hey.
Smarter than most of us.
Definitely. Okay, now I can tell the other guy to go ahead and call in. Jeez.
Who's next?
That will be
Who's the next
Brandon
Who's the next victim?
Next victim. Okay. He called in early, cut us off in our racing stuff.
So much supposed to be calling now?
Yeah, I just retexted. I told him to hold off because both of them were on the line. Let's see. The crash from Daytona still got stuff out there.
It's kind of funny NASCAR can investigate its own crash.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a university who's cheating, investigating its own athletic department. What do you think they're going to find?
Oh, well.
They may find a way to blame it on the 32 car.
Oh, poor Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Now, who turned him, though? They now have to blame them.
Lots of people.
Let's talk racing.
Hey, guys, this is Brandon.
Hey, we have Brandon Atkinson on the line. How's it going tonight, Brandon?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. Were you checking out our little man we had on the radio? Or, jeez, now I'm doing it. On the TV earlier?
Yeah.
What do you think about him?
Pretty awesome. Pretty cool.
Okay. Continue on. All right. Go ahead and give us your race resume. People that haven't been listening before learn something about you and go from there.
Well, I started racing when I was about 4 years old, flat track motorcycles. Pretty much a dirt oval like cars race on with motorcycles. I won championship 2 years in a row there. Skip forward a little bit. I went to Springfield, Illinois when I was 6 years old. Won the national championship. out of the whole United States and people all over the world, Canada, Australia. And we kind of got out of motorcycles then. Because a bunch of my friends were getting hurt and a few of them killed.
Ooh.
But when I was 11, we got into street stocks at Virginia Motor Speedway, my local dirt track down in Virginia. Raced there about 8 times. It always made me start from the rear of the field since I was so young. I think I was only 11 then. But there was at least 25 cars every race. I think the best I finished was 6th. It was really tough. Pretty fun trying to get through all the cars that I remember that. Then we went and moved to Statesville, North Carolina, kind of right by Charlotte, to kind of pursue racing. And started racing at the local dirt track out here at East Lincoln Speedway, owned by Ray Abraham. I was 13 then, and I raced one season there. And I won about 5 or 6 heat races and three features. And I got into dirt late models when I was 15 or 14, I think it was. And I made my first dirt late model start at East Lincoln. It was the first time that they ran those cars there in about 20 years. And I won the first race I ever did in a dirt late model. It was pretty amazing.
It worked out for you coming from the back to the front then.
Oh, yeah, it definitely helped. It was a little tight boring track. It definitely helped with car control and keeping off of other cars and learning to avoid wrecks and stuff like that. Definitely helped. But yeah, in that race, we ran about a handful more that season. A bunch of top 5s. I didn't get a win after that one, though. We made my first limited late model start at Hickory at the end of the year, and it was a 100-lap race. It was, I think, one of the biggest limited late model races they had up there in a few years. There was like 30 cars. I qualified 15th and ended up 4th. I came across the line with my engine blowing. I got some nose damage earlier and it overheated. I had people pushing me across the line. I was thankful that it decided to go when it went. Yeah, I was pretty impressive, I thought, for the first start that I had. Then the season after that, I just ran, which is this past season. I ran 10 races at Hickory and won 3 of them. And I ran a big race at Ace and Caraway and got the pole there with about 5 finishes. That's kind of where we're sitting now. We just got a bolt motor for our late model, and we're looking to run to step up the regular asphalt late models, looking to hit some tracks like Langley, South Boston, Hickory, Southern National. So we should be all around, hopefully, with some good results.
I may have actually met you when I was out at Hickory talking with some of the other drivers out there.
Probably so.
'Cause I've been up there a few times. Usually go out and when it's around Martinsville time, I'll go out there and catch a couple of races out there.
Mm-hmm.
Go visit with Candace Musney.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, everybody pretty much knows her down there at that track.
Did you race at Saluda when Billy Sawyer ran it, or was it before Billy Sawyer?
It was when Sawyer owned it. I think it was 2009.
Oh, okay. Yeah, recently. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I understand that you're going to be coming out to Langley to possibly do some racing out here too?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely coming out there for a handful of races. It should be pretty fun. I know they just paved that track. It should be pretty fast.
That's what we're telling me. I haven't heard anybody out there practicing on it yet.
Yeah, I think Hudson, which is the track promoter's son, he was staying at my house for a little bit. He told me that there were some Legends cars tested over there. I think that was the first car that tested. He said that they hardly ever lifted in the corners.
Ooh.
Pretty crazy.
I think C.E. Falk tested before he went to Daytona.
Yeah.
For whatever good that did him.
I'm looking forward to racing with CE.
After Kyle Larson got done with him, yeah.
I still haven't had a chance to talk to CE about that.
He got done in. So,
that was a rotten deal right there.
but if you can, let me tell you what, if you can get around Langley, and if you're from up this way originally, sort of, aren't you? You're from King William.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah.
from.
So you probably have heard of Langley through the years. If you can get around Langley and do pretty well, that's pretty good resume. You can get around most any track if you can get around Langley.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm really looking forward to coming up there and doing some testing and some races. It sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, with CE, he's driven Langley so much, and it's pretty much close to being a flat track. That's one of his benefits, that when he went down there to Daytona to race, that's what helped him out.
Yep.
Well, it helped him out until the last lap.
Yeah.
And when you're running ahead of a guy that hits you twice in the same corner, it doesn't help you out, no matter where you started.
Drive straight through you.
Unless you were a demolition derby driver. So.
Well, he did pretty good. Did that little 360, got back on the gas.
Yeah,
and got
but
third.
he should have won it. He
Yeah,
should have won it. None of the guys who took the white flag
won
at Daytona on that backstretch track, none of the three guys who took the white flag leading won the race. So that tells you something about NASCAR right there, or about how they ran that program. So
I'm really surprised the way he handled that, though. I mean, I probably would have been mad, but he was all calm during the interview and everything. Didn't seem to get too much upset. I would have been pretty mad.
Well, I asked him about that. I told him, I said, "CE, I've seen you race for years and years. I saw your father race and your Uncle Joe, and the folks generally do not take that kind of thing well." He said, "Well, I'm 25 years old now, and I've got to act like a professional." He said, eventually it'll come back around, and we'll be okay. So, yeah, he took it better than anybody expected.
I'm sure he gained a lot of respect for that.
Now, when you race at East Lincoln, I guess Everham owns the place and runs it, and is he there on a weekly basis?
Well, I think when I was there, he was there about 4 or 5 times. That's when he was slowly turning it over to other people.
Oh, okay.
Now I think it's totally someone else runs it, but he still owns it.
Yeah. Is that a pretty good dirt track?
Sir?
Is that a pretty good dirt track?
Yeah, well, it's probably one of the best dirt tracks I've been to for at least racing.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely not, you won't have any boring times, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well,
now,
go ahead.
now, obviously, your career, if you hope to move up into NASCAR, obviously your career will not be on dirt. So, are you beginning to move away from dirt to strictly asphalt now, or are you still going to do a little of both?
Well, yeah, it's I've sold one of my dirt cars this past season, which was hard to do, but we did it, and we're just focusing on the dirt or the asphalt late model that we have now. Hopefully that'll get us a little bit more asphalt exposure, get us in front of some big names in NASCAR. But if there's any rides opening or anything, I'm sure I'll do a few races. This past season, I know I did a Legends, those new Legends modifieds for the dirt track racing school. I ran one of those cars at East Lincoln. That was a pretty good time.
Well, that's if you run the Virginia, or if you run a late model circuit, it includes Hickory and Langley and South Boston and wherever else. That'll put you in pretty good training ground to move up. I suspect you'll probably try to run Martinsville in October with the late models. So if you follow that path for a couple of years, you'll be okay. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, we're definitely trying, working on marketing pretty hard now, so we could hopefully get some funds to run a bunch this season, run more than we did last season. But everything's looking pretty good right now. Hopefully something works out later on.
Good deal. Well, you want to go ahead and let you go, let you thank your sponsors, and we will be getting back up with you again, one point place or the other.
All right. Alright, sounds good. I just gotta thank my mom and dad, all my family that helps me out. Thank Anna Marie Strawhand with marketing at full speed, helping me out. Don't have any sponsors yet, but hopefully next time I'm on the show I can announce them to all y'all out there. I'd like to thank y'all for having me on the show again. It's always good to be here.
All right. Well, when you come to Langley, look us up. We'll be here.
Yes, sir, I will.
All right. Talk to you later then.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye. Like to welcome Eric McClure. How you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine. So you're already out in Vegas playing around? Have you lost all your winnings all right at the blackjack table?
Well, I'd love to say that I'm doing something exciting, but I got here in Las Vegas this afternoon and started working on the computer. So that's about as much fun as I'm having right now.
Is Mama and the girls going to join you?
No, they're not. With being at home next week and the number of children we have and the logistical difficulty of traveling, they don't come out to races this way. So I guess they'll watch it on TV and then we'll stay in touch. But right now it's just me.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and throw your race resume out there so the people that don't know you real well get to know you a little bit better.
Well, I've been around a while, the Nationwide Series. This is our 7th full-time season, I believe. We currently have the longest driver-sponsor relationship with the Hefty and Reynolds Rat brands, so we're proud of that. Just a product of the short tracks in Virginia. My family had Roger Brehm Motorsports for 25 years, so I grew up around the sport, got it honestly, I guess, and felt several years ago I needed to go race. So we just started racing locally in Southwest Virginia and just sort of took steps as the opportunities presented themselves, and here we are now.
Eric, you made news last year a couple of ways. One way on the track at Talladega and one way off the track. Tell people who may not have heard what happened to you and your family about a year ago, a little over a year ago, back home in Abington. Give us a brief rundown of your excitement there that got you on the front page of a lot of racing publications.
It did. I think over the years I've become better known for all the wrong reasons. A couple of years ago, in the middle of 2011, obviously there was a tornado that the outbreak that swept the southeastern part of the country, and our family was victim of one of the smaller cells of the storm, and my wife and I, and at the time we had 3 children. We had just gotten home, and we had to ride one of the tornadoes out, and it took the top of our house off and displaced us for several months. It certainly was a scary time for us. Especially the way it affected our oldest daughter was 4 at the time, and it still affects her to this day. So, from the uncertainty of that to the experience of that was just so surreal and just it took such a toll on our family that it just breaks our heart to think of people that have greater damage from those type storms or other natural disasters. So. For us, it was a scary time, and displaced us for a while as a family, and we had to rebuild the home, and we sold it and purchased a new home just to make sure we could escape the memories for the children. And it certainly helped us grow as a family, and then we overcame that just in time to have the accident at Talladega, which was another big deal on our family. It was really, really hard on the girls. It was really hard on my wife. Certainly, there was a lot of unknowns with that. So it's been a tough couple of years for us personally. Effects that happened to us off the racetrack. So I guess if there's anything from that we can take away from it, we're certainly a lot more thankful for what we do have and thankful for the opportunity to be together as a family a lot more.
For some reason, I apologize. I thought the tornado was last year, but it was in 11. Is that correct?
It wasn't.
Okay.
I think it was at the end of it was the last week of April in 2011.
Okay.
But it seems like from that point to where we are, at the close of 2012, it was one thing after another. It was the tornado. It was, I contracted a serious illness in that off season. Then there was the accident. Then my wife contracted an illness, and it's just been one thing after another, it seems, for us. And hopefully, things are going well so far this year, and then hopefully we've got those monkeys off our back a little bit.
Now, you made your 200th nationwide start at Daytona. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was that the number? I remember I was in the media center when one of your people came by and handed out I'm being very serious, wonderful little goodie bags with Hefty and Reynolds Wrap products. I must not tell a lie. I took more than just one because the people sitting near me left that night and didn't want them, and I said, hey, my wife can use this stuff. So my home in Newport News now is fully stocked with products from your 200th start commemorative thing. So thank you for that. The other thing I want to mention is, and I met you and your family last year at Bristol. You are a family of very strong faith, I understand.
Yes, sir.
That is probably a good reason, I would think, that you survived the tornado, and that your illness and your wife's illness and the bad wreck at Talladega, there must have been some higher powers that got y'all through all that stuff.
It did. It would be foolish for me to sit here and say, oh, okay, because of our relationship with Christ, that's what the difference was and why we were spared those times. But I will say that's how we were able to get through them. Just looking at, just the accident, from a physics standpoint, there's no way in the world I should have survived.
It was pretty serious.
Yeah, it was.
I was there that day.
Well, it was. Fortunately, I was unconscious during the time, so I missed a lot of the impact and the worry there. At least until I woke up, I was able to feel the effects of that. But I have no other way to explain the survival of that accident. And I can tell you that our faith is strong, and I don't know why God spared us any of those instances, or why they weren't worse, or what His plan was in that. But we certainly would lean on Him regardless of whether that outcome had been like we were thankful that it was, or it had been worse. But for our family, that's the driving force of what we are. That's our most important thing is our relationship with the Lord. Everything else is a bonus, and we try to honor Him with our efforts there. And we leave the results to every situation up to Him, but we try to honor Him with our lives. And we're thankful for everything He did for us in those situations. We count from the tornado to the illnesses to the accident. There's no other way to chalk it up other than a blessing. And every success we have on the racetrack or failure or whatnot is always minor when you look at the other things we've come through. So we try to keep everything into perspective.
I remember talking to you at Bristol last year, and I think you told me that your family told you that you could go racing after you went to college. And you went to Emory and Henry and you graduated, you have a degree. Some will say that, a young man who went to a school that good must be awfully smart, and if he's that smart, why is he racing? Was that the case? Did your family tell you that you can race, you can follow the family tradition, but we would like you to go to college, or we expect you to go to college? What was the option there, Eric?
Well, backing up, I certainly have had days where I've questioned why on earth I'm doing this, but family, I grew up watching my dad. They built their automotive business as well as the race team from nothing. And, I watched he and his brothers. My dad never missed an event of ours, but he worked from daylight till dark and still does to this day. And it was work on the car lots during the week
go to the race shop at night and help the people that were full-time and then go race on the weekends. And those were the days before there were, there were airplanes, private planes and things like that. It was you drive the van, and if you were lucky enough, you fly commercial. And, I saw how hard it was on him and how hard my mother worked. My mother was a teacher in the school system for 31 years, and education was always the biggest thing for them. And my parents tried, and still to this day try for years, to steer me away from this industry because it's so difficult. And they were adamant I was going to college whether I raced cars or not. And their rule was you go to college and you work and you save up money and then you buy you a car and go race, and we'll see how serious you are about it. And they helped me when it, right before my graduation, they helped me go out and get a car. I had worked for 4 years. I worked at the local newspaper, at the local radio station, because my background was in mass communications, in addition to working, afternoons and weekends at their race shop, from the ground up, doing maintenance and cleaning and things like that. And I worked really hard because I wanted to be a race car driver, or at least have the opportunity to go race at the local track. I never thought any further past, Motor Mile Speedway or Lexington Fine Raceway or whatever. That was the ultimate goal for me. And once I showed them how serious I was about it, and was learning in the shop about cars and paying for everything myself. They did let me live at home, which was a blessing when I look back on it. They decided to help me a little bit, and certainly thankful for what they were able to do and some of the things they were able to help with, obviously having the race shop. But, the common misconception was everything was handed to me, and it wasn't. My parents were totally against racing, but as their son, they loved me and supported me as long as I showed the initiative and took the steps necessary to support myself in that field. And, I'm thankful for that now. I'm thankful for my education because the only reason I've been able to stay around this long is because of our relationship with our corporate partners, and I credit my education for helping me, land the sponsorship that's been around as long as it has. And, there's thousands of drivers that could do what I do, and some have come and gone, and everything's sponsorship driven. So I'm thankful for the foundation my parents gave me through the education and the opportunities that education has presented me. I get to do what I love because of my education, and I'm thankful for that.
My daughter is in graduate school at Radford, up the road a little bit. She'll graduate the weekend. The weekend you guys are at Darlington, my daughter will get her master's degree from Radford. She did her undergraduate at Longwood. So, in fact, when I drive to Bristol next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, I'm going to stop in at Radford and take her to dinner and give her some money, as children always ask when their parents are coming by. So I know how important it is to you to have gone to school. Now, you say you worked in a newspaper briefly. I presume you realize that was not, or it was a good career move to get out of that job, because newspapers, as you well know, are not doing very well right now.
They do. I'm one of the people that's caused me not to do well, because I've got this phone that has internet and I can look everything up online. And, for me, I am a sports junkie. I love sports. If I didn't race cars, I would be working as a college football analyst somewhere, I guarantee it, or at least I like to think I would be. And all I did for the paper was I covered sports for them, and I really enjoyed that time because I like sports. But fortunately, at this point, I do get to be fortunate enough or blessed enough to do what I love, and I could never dream that I would be one of 122 people that start a NASCAR National Series race every week. And it's really surreal. But looking at your daughter, that's incredible that she's gone on to get her master's. My mother graduated from Longwood, and I think that's certainly an excellent school, as is Radford, and certainly proud of what I was able to get at Emory and Henry. And looking at my children, I have 4 daughters, and we're expecting a 5th child. I'm already looking for their education, because I know how vital it was to where I'm at to this day, and certainly in my wife, her career before we had the children, was education driven. So I see how important it is, and I'm thankful I was able to have parents that pushed that on me.
My wife's a teacher down in Newport News here, so basically you and I have got kind of the same background. One other thing, I see you're a Cavalier fan. Now, you live within spitting distance of Blacksburg, and how can you live out there and be a UVA fan?
Well, I will tell you this.
Uh-oh.
Most of the people that listen to you are probably Tech fans, and I have a lot of respect for Virginia Tech. But I pulled for both schools until
They play each other.
per se. Yeah, I you know, where I live, everybody is either Virginia Tech or Tennessee, and I don't want to refrain comment from this point, but I am a Cavalier all the way. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. Have you seen the movie Rudy?
Oh, yeah.
Where Rudy is all about Notre Dame, and you know he keeps trying. They reject him. He keeps trying to go to school there. They reject him, but he's still a fan. The only reason I did not apply to Virginia was I was afraid they wouldn't take me, and I couldn't pull for them in sports anymore.
Okay.
So I'm a Cavalier all the way. Had season tickets for 13 years now. Totally obsessed, and you know they've probably taken 10 years off my life, but I enjoy every second of it.
You know, Mike London's from down this way. In fact, as a daily newspaper writer here in Newport News, I covered Mike London when he played high school football. I also covered, if you will give me a moment to drop some names, I covered Michael Vick. I covered Allen Iverson. I covered Lawrence Taylor. And I covered Mike Tomlin. So from down here on the peninsula, where high school football is pretty good, I've covered some pretty good players. But I think Mike London, given time, he did a great job at Richmond. Given Mike time, he'll do a good job at UVA. He just needs a player or two along the lines of the Tiki and Rondé Barber. Get a couple of those kind of guys, and the Cavs will be okay.
You know, I think so. It's just so competitive now in the NCAA, and you see how hard it is to build a program or rebuild a program, and you know, it's like NASCAR. Everything is win now and statistical success, and everything takes time. And I certainly like what he does. I like his enthusiasm. I think he's an excellent ball coach. And you know, you look at your area up there, it's certainly rich in athletes. And being from Southwest Virginia, you know, we cling to the Jones brothers. You know, Heath Miller, guys like that are some of the few that make it to those levels. And you know, we rally around those guys. But just looking at that, the programs in Virginia, you know, Virginia's been around a lot of years. They've competed at the highest levels and in all of their varsity sports. And Virginia Tech is now at that point where they're a national football power, and it's a great school on top of that. So, you know, for our state, it's great when you can see players like that, and if you're fortunate enough to keep them in state, it's really good. But as a fan, my wife jokes that I spend as much time watching Tech hoping they lose as I do Virginia hoping they win. But I wouldn't go that far with it. But it's certainly a lot of fun, and you know, I'm proud to be in the state where both those schools are successful, as well as the other schools.
Yeah, we'll let you get out of here on one more thing. I know really who you dislike the most. You dislike the most Randolph Macon and Hampton-Sydney, don't you?
You know, I almost went to Hampton-Sydney to play baseball. You know, you're going to get me in trouble here. I need people to buy Reynolds Wrap and Hefty products, and I don't want to offend someone like or that guy. But I used to have a saying that applied to those schools as well as Tech, that I'd rather, you know, one of them lose than eat. And as I've matured, or like to think that I've matured, I'll soften my stance. But we do need Emory to get back to the football power that they once were, and certainly, you know, the basketball team is in a rebuilding mode. The baseball team's almost back to where they were, but certainly follow the Wasps closely. That was my alma mater, and you know, D3 is just such a different animal, and you got to credit what Macon and Hampton have done. But I'd be lying if I said I pulled for them.
There you go. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Hey, Eric, I at least want to congratulate you on getting that nice finish out of Daytona. Even though you only got the car slightly damaged.
Finally, you know what? I didn't. That was a special day. I've waited 8 years for a day like that, and you know, a little bit of my genuineness come out in me. At the end, you're like, okay, everything's going so well. When does the bottom going to fall out? But it was just such a special day, and to race up front and see the way the team and the sponsors and everybody reacted to that was just great. I didn't realize how close we were to having a chance to win the race till I got home, and then I got nervous watching the tape. And I was really proud, and I'm looking forward to this weekend and certainly getting back to Talladega with this car. I think it's certainly salvageable. It wasn't that damaged that greatly, and looking forward to having another strong run. But it was definitely an incredible day, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, I'm driving down 81 on next Thursday. I'm staying in Withville Thursday night and taking my daughter to dinner over in Radford on Thursday night. But I will make it a point to come over on Friday and meet you. We chatted last year at Bristol. I'm sure you've met some many media guys that you don't remember one from the other, but I'll make it a point to remind you that I was the one who talked football and basketball with you on the show tonight, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Have a safe trip coming down, and I really appreciate you guys and what you do for our team.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
Have a good night, Eric.
You guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
All right, let's go eat.
Okay. Goodness, I got that hunger on.
Yeah, it's 8:15.
Only 8:06.
8:06.
You know what he told me? He says, I've only got 10 minutes. I said, Eric, I put you on the last segment because I know once you get started, you ain't going to stop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Eric's a good kid. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching the show tonight. And we will catch everybody.
Well, thank me for being here.
Thank you, Al.
Saving you.
Saving me.
Yeah. Again.
Hey, it could be worse. I could
But
be
you
over
saved
there.
me. You saved me before too. So there we go.
Oh gosh! Everybody have a good night.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Here's your 2011 champion, David Brooklyn.
Hi, this is David Flens, driver of the 33 NASCAR Late Model, 2011 Old Dominion Speedway Track Champion. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, driver 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seat belts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing TV